Welcome back to the program. Good morning, Abuja. And yes, it's time for us to delve deep into the conversations that we've lined up for you today. As you know, Good Morning, Abuja as a program aims to not only inform, educate, but entertain you. This morning, issues surrounding the fuel subsidy removal is still going to form part of our discussions because we know the hardship that's occasioned the removal of the fuel subsidy. But thankfully, the federal government of Nigeria has announced palliatives that they intend to bring to Nigeria so as to at least cushion the effect of the hardships that occasioned the removal of the fuel subsidy. Just last week, we heard that some states have, it has been approved for states to get as much as 5 billion per state to be able to bring palliatives to its people. This is aside the fact that truckloads of grains and everything from the National Grain Reserve has been released to states, and so many other things that have been promised. Not leaving labor out, discussions with labor is ongoing, and the federal government has continuously pledged that they are ready to expand discussions with labor with a view to ensuring that civil servants are not left behind in whatever will be done to help ameliorate the hardships that Nigerians are currently suffering. That is where our discussion this morning will center on. But first, let me introduce you to my guest. I'm talking about a man who has had the privilege of representing the good people of Benue State as a senator, and he contributed in no small measure in making laws for this country, especially during the time when Nigeria had to go through the recession and the NSAS and all the palliatives that came at that point in time and the challenges that came with it. Good morning, and join me to say good morning to Senator Emmanuel Jeff. Good morning, sir, and welcome on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes. As you know, Senator here is vastly experienced in matters that have to do with judiciary and human rights. And he sat as chairman of one of the committees in the Senate, vice chairman that focused on judiciary and human rights. And presently, you are also a member representing Nigeria at the ECOWAS Parliament.
That's
you have a vast experience as it concerns human interaction.
Thank you.
This country is going through a hard time with the fuel subsidy removal. They say the hardship is the same, but some people say it differs. Somebody says it hard for my side very well, and that person says not too bad like that. What is it like on your part, sir?
Well, there's nobody that will be happy, especially somebody that's represented people. Even if your condition is better than the next person, you truly can't be happy because whatever affects other people should affect you, because there's that ripple effect of whatever. If he's suffering, it spreads around, and it affects even criminality is part of it. Some of these problems, some of this suffering will induce or generate criminality. And at the end of the day, it affects everybody, even those that think they are having a better living condition than those who are considered vulnerable. So I'm as affected as every other Nigerian, the vulnerable.
Yes, it leaves nobody behind.
No.
What we are going through right now. But now palliatives. The federal government, it came to light last week that states had to get 5 billion. Now, these are the same, many of them are the same state governors that got the last palliatives during the President Buhari era. And Nigerians are expressing distrust, saying, no, we can't trust these people. What is your take?
Let me start by saying that I commend the president for the courage in tackling this monster called subsidy. As a member of the Senate, of the National Assembly, of course, I did 12 years in the House of Representatives before I crossed over to the Senate. So I've had a varied experience with some of these projects that are targeted at the vulnerable and how most of them end. And I want to say that, it was scary the amount of money that was being paid as subsidy. And only to discover that most of it was benefited, or rather benefiting outsiders, that is people outside the country, West African countries. Now, because a lot, it's unfortunate that Nigeria that produces oil depends on importation of oil for its survival. So those that were benefiting from this subsidy were largely outsiders, of course, in coalition with our people here. So series of regimes or governments has skated around the issue of removal of subsidy, but it took the courage of the current president, President Tinubu, to have said that from day one that subsidy will be removed. Of course, it comes with a lot of pains. It comes with because such a project, suddenly the excuses are there. You know that in the past, anytime there was an increment, these people will say, that is the dealers in fuel will say, I have to finish this. That is, if there was any drop in price, they will say, I have to finish the one that we bought before we bring down the price. But if it's an increment, it happens automatically. That's what happens. So I'm all for that policy direction that the president has taken. But with it comes pains and suffering. Okay, so how do we tackle that? What is the solution to that? Targeting the vulnerable is it's like a drop in the ocean, because like I said, it affects everybody, even those civil servants that are collecting money. If, for instance, you were using 20,000 to transport yourself to for the office, now it will triple,
Yes.
Right? And your salary has not increased. So if you target the vulnerable, maybe those who are not earning money, who are taking less than, or who are presumed to be getting even less than 10,000 per month, how about those who are working and yet everything is taken up by the cost of moving up and down, and the cost of food prices, the cost of everything in the country, because immediately the decision was taken, everything skyrocketed, right? So this decision is just to show that the government cares, but it does not solve anything. It's certainly, but even let's come to the palliatives.
Yes.
I have been, like you pointed out in your intro, I have been a witness and part of the palliatives targeted at the vulnerable. First, let me tell you that we are in political times. The moment that is left in the hands of politicians, you see that is used as taking care of our supporters and all of that. So at the end of the day, it's not even everybody that is vulnerable that can access these things. People use it to take care of their, political supporters or people of their own political party, and so every other person is left watching the scene or hanging as it is. So, but even those supporters, how many can it reach? When I was there were times even senators were asked to nominate those to benefit, right? The nomination will be done. They will tell you that the first batch is coming. The first batch will come maybe out of a list of, say, 100, 60 will be given, and that will be the end of the matter. The remaining one will just be, the second batch will come, maybe 40 will be given. You will not know what is happening. So between the civil servants and the politicians, a lot of untoward things happen.
Wonderful.
Yes. So it may sound very, very good on paper that, the government is going to give billions of palliatives. I just wish you know what ultimately ends in the hands of those vulnerable. Not much.
Okay.
Far cry from what is promised.
But in your opinion now, how would the president have been able to probably cushion the effect? What would be the better option?
I think the better option is to, target those things that will make life better for everybody, not just, for instance, transportation. We don't have a transport system in this country that will take care of people. If a lot of people will not even use their cars if they know that they can easily transport themselves to and from the office, even if they have cars, they use those cars only when they are off the office time and they want to say go shopping. Even then, most people will not even care about cars if you have a transport system that is reliable.
That's true.
And then the farmers, right? The farmers can hardly afford the fertilizer, first of all. So those are the things that you target. That if you target those things, even those that ordinarily wouldn't want to go to the farm will go there because
It will become
I'm
attractive.
exactly I'm from a farming state. Benue State, in fact, it's known as the food basket of the nation,
Nation,
and it's
that's
not
true.
for nothing. It's because we 70%, if not more, of the people indulge in farming as a means of livelihood, right? So, but at the end of the day, majority of them cannot even afford fertilizer because of the skyrocketing prices of such products. So I think what the government should be doing is to be targeting those things that will affect majority of people. Uh, Palliatives is just a first step. It's not bad, like I said, even with its imperfections, it's not bad. But first of all, let's target those areas, like I said, transportation, like I said,
Agriculture.
agriculture, and all of these things. Once you do that, you see that majority of the people will be affected positively rather than this thing. Because, like the labor is saying, if you say only those who are not earning money, and what about those who are earning money, which is taken up completely
The cost of
by the
living.
cost of living?
Yes. That is amazing. Well, our conversation this morning has been on the federal government's palliative that it has announced so far, and we've been fortunate to share the thoughts of Senator Emmanuel Oke Jeff on what he thinks about the palliatives and how best the government can tackle this issue of hardship that occasioned the removal of subsidy. Unfortunately, we cannot take very much from Senator this morning. But before we let you go, sir, just how should we now cope? Some people just need words of encouragement. Let's just have some from you.
Well, the president was quoted to have said something that having children is good, but before you have children, some blood will be shed, right, by through childbirth.
Yes.
So we should, because particularly the youth who are tempted once there are issues, they are tempted to go to criminality. It's an ill wind that will blow nobody any good. I'm the first to sit here and admit that the suffering in the land is massive because of this policy direction. But in the long run, I believe that is better than what we had before, when trillions will be paid in a fuel subsidy and not Nigerians will benefit, or a few Nigerians will benefit. Most of those people benefiting would even be outside the country. So it's painful, but I think in the long run, if it's sustained, I think some good will come out of it.
Yes, we are anticipating that at the end of the tunnel, there will be light. This suffering will not be in vain. That is the hope that we all share with you, Senator. Thank you for coming on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, the program is still Good Morning Abuja. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, the program continues.